To assemble exercise 15-62, I've started a new file and I've brought in the 3 files that were required to be modeled for this particular exercise, and I am working in a world UCS with a southeast isometric view. To make my life a little bit easier, I do want to change the colors of these things so that as I go and put stuff in, it's a little bit easier for me to follow what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this piece yellow, and I'm going to make this piece here, we'll do green, and then I'll do red for this piece here. So now as I put stuff together, it's going to be a lot clearer for me to see exactly what's going on. And I'm also going to change my shade mode to conceptual. Now I've got a 3D view. Now, I purposely brought in everything in here in the wrong orientation, because it's important that we learn how to put things into the proper orientation. For example, this thing here needs rotated along the y-axis 90 degrees. This one needs rotated along the z 90 degrees. And this one needs rotated along the z 90 degrees. So for me to rotate on the y-axis, what I need to do is switch to a front UCS. So I'm going to go to UCS front, and then I can rotate this object. And I'll just pick anywhere on it and then left click to select my orientation. So I can now see that that is in the orientation that I need it. Now I can go back to the world UCS to rotate the other two. So I'm just going to rotate this one here, and I'll just use this and we'll drag it around so that it's in the proper orientation, and then I'll rotate this one here so that it's in the proper orientation. Now I need 2 of these side by side, so I'm going to copy this one from this end point to this end point, and then I can right click and say enter. So I've got these 2. Now I need to move this, and I'm going to move it from the bottom center point here to the top center point here, and that's going to locate that particular piece for me. Now I can move this out of the way a little bit and continue on. So in looking at this, I now know that I need to move this to this corner. So I'm going to move, select this, and I'm going to grab this corner and then this corner right here. And if I look closely, I missed the corner. It's important to always double check after a move to make sure that you've got it put in the right place. So I'm going to go back to move, and this time I'm going to select the bottom center and the top center over here, because I think that might be an easier pick. Now, I'm somewhat lazy when it comes to AutoCAD, and I like to do things the most expeditious way possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a look at this from a different perspective. So I'm going to come over here to my view cube, and I'm just going to orbit this thing a little bit. And I know that my top piece is going to fit down in here, and it's the same as this piece here, but it goes in here. So I need another one of these, but on the opposite corner. So I'm just going to copy this from this end point to this end point. Now I know that's not how it's supposed to be in there, but I'll deal with that in a minute. What I do know is that this piece and this piece repeat themselves on the other side, and now so does this piece. So I can actually use the mirror command and select this, this, and this, and when it asks me for my mirror point, I can select the midpoint on here and then just drag this over to the side and left click, saying no, I don't want to erase my source objects. Now I can erase this extra one that I've created. I don't need it anymore. But by doing that mirror operation, I now have all of the pieces in that I need to have in for this particular example. So now I can continue on. I want to copy this piece over to here. Change my UCS to the front, rotate this piece, 90 degrees. Okay, I should have went to front UCS. I'm not sure which UCS it accidentally went to, but it was rotating in the wrong direction, so I knew it was the wrong UCS. So now I can move that straight up. Now I can move this piece from this center to the back center over here. Here's my front center, here's my back center. The more you do this, the more you're able to actually go through and do the operations where you're picking the back holes. If it's not looking right, you may want to go ahead and switch to a wireframe, just so that it's a little bit more clear what you're actually picking. But now that I have all these pieces put together, I need to go back to a world UCS. So I'm going to go back to UCS world, and I need to create fasteners to hold the object together, which is just going to be pins. It's not going to be anything fancy, but there's two different kinds of pins that I need. I need pins that are 10 millimeters tall, pins that are 20 millimeters tall, and pins that are 30 millimeters tall. When I'm going through 3 different parts, it needs to be 30. When I'm going through 2 parts, it needs to be 20. So I can just draw a circle with the diameter of 10. That's pretty big. Evidently, I started an English file instead of a metric file. So what I need to do is just scale everything up by 25.4 to make all this work correctly. Make sure that when you do this, that you select a metric file instead of an English file when you first create your drawing. So now I can draw my circle with a diameter of 10, and another circle with a diameter of 10. And I want to press pull this first one, or I can just extrude them. So I'll go to extrude, and I want to extrude this one to 20. Back to extrude, select this one, and extrude it 30. Now I can copy. I don't want to move these, I just want to copy it. So I'm going to copy it from the top center to the top center here, the top center here, and then for the other places that this particular pin is used, I'm going to have to change its rotation. So I'll say that I'm done with that for now. Now I want to copy this pin from the top center to the top center of this hole and the top center of this hole. Now I just have to go back to a UCS front, rotate this pin so that it's in the proper orientation, and then I can copy it from this center point to this center point, and also this center point on the back side. Notice that went in the wrong way, so I'm going to pick this center point instead to put that in. Now I can go ahead and erase this, this, and this. And what I'm left with is an assembly that I can now create my drawings and do whatever else I need to do from here. But for the purposes of this week's exercises, this is all we need to do.